Welcome to your personalized deep dive. We know you're interested in creating a morning routine that sets you up for success, so we took a deep dive into a podcast called Legacy of Mindset, Building a Morning Routine for Success just for you. We'll break down the key takeaways and help you figure out how to apply them to your own life. One fascinating stat they mentioned right off the bat, 80% of high achievers have a consistent morning routine. That's a pretty compelling reason to at least consider it, right?
Absolutely. It's not just about mimicking what successful people do, though. It's about understanding the deeper why behind those routines and tailoring them to fit your individual needs and goals.
Okay, so let's unpack that why. What is it about a morning routine that can make such a difference in someone's success?
Think of it this way. How you start your morning sets the tone for the rest of your day. If you're rushing around feeling stressed and scattered, chances are that feeling will carry over into your work and personal life. A well-structured morning routine helps you take control of those early hours and proactively set yourself up for a more focused, productive, and even happier day.
It's like priming your mind and body for peak performance, right?
Exactly. The podcast we explored lays out a 5-step framework for building a powerful morning routine, and it all starts the night before.
Interesting. So before we even think about the morning, what does step one, start the night before, actually entail? What actions are we taking?
It's all about minimizing decision fatigue and eliminating those frantic, where are my keys, what am I going to eat, moments that can derail your morning before it even begins. They recommend laying out your clothes, prepping your breakfast, and even jotting down your top 3 priorities for the day.
Makes sense. Getting all those little decisions out of the way the night before frees up mental bandwidth in the morning to focus on the things that really matter. In the podcast, they talked about a guy named Alex. I think he was an entrepreneur, right?
Yes. Alex was struggling with feeling overwhelmed and constantly behind. He decided to give this 5-step routine a try, and starting with step 1 was a game changer. He used to spend 15 minutes every morning just trying to find a clean shirt, but by laying out his clothes the night before, he eliminated that wasted time and stress. It was a small win that helped him feel more in control right from the start.
Small wins can be so powerful. It's like they create this positive momentum that you can build on.
Oh.
Okay, so we've prepped the night before, our clothes are laid out, breakfast is ready to go. What's next?
Step 2 is wake up at the same time every day. This one can be tough, especially on weekends, but it's crucial for regulating your body's natural sleep-wake cycle.
I'll admit, I'm guilty of sleeping in on Saturdays. So even if I'm getting enough sleep overall, that inconsistency can still mess with my body clock.
Exactly. The podcast drew a parallel to a finely tuned instrument. When you maintain a consistent sleep schedule, you're essentially keeping that instrument in tune, making it easier to wake up feeling refreshed and energized. When you disrupt that schedule, even occasionally, it's like throwing the instrument out of whack. It takes time to recalibrate and get back in sync.
So Alex, our entrepreneur, how did he handle the wake-up time challenge? I'm guessing he wasn't waking up at 5 a.m. before this, right?
Right. He was definitely a snooze button enthusiast. But instead of trying to make a drastic change all at once, he started by moving his wake-up time back in 15-minute increments. It took a few weeks, but eventually he was waking up at 6 a.m. consistently, even on weekends, and he said he felt a noticeable difference in his energy levels and overall mood.
I love that approach. It's about finding those small, sustainable changes that you can stick with.
Absolutely. Now, once you're up and at 'em, step 3 is all about kickstarting your mind and body with hydrate and move your body.
This one seems pretty straightforward. What are we doing here?
First things first, drink a large glass of water. This is key because after a night of sleep, your body is naturally dehydrated. Rehydrating first thing in the morning helps to jumpstart your metabolism, flush out toxins, and even improve mental clarity.
So it's not just about quenching your thirst, but about setting the stage for optimal physical and mental performance. What about the movement part?
That's where you get your blood flowing and wake up your muscles. This doesn't have to be anything intense. The podcast suggests things like stretching yoga, a quick walk, or even just a few minutes of light cardio. Even gentle movement like this helps to increase blood flow to your brain, improve your mood, and boost your energy levels.
I can see how those first 3 steps kind of flow together seamlessly. You've prepped the night before you wake up at a consistent time, hydrate, and get your body moving. It's like a chain reaction of positive actions.
It is, and that positive momentum is what sets you up for the next step, which is all about cultivating a positive mindset.
So we've got our body moving, we're hydrated, and we're feeling good. What's next in this routine for success?
Step 4 is all about practice mindfulness. This is where we shift gears from the physical to the mental. Taking some time to center ourselves and cultivate a positive mindset for the day ahead.
This is where I think a lot of people might get tripped up. Mindfulness can feel a bit vague or intimidating. What does that actually look like in practice within a morning routine?
You're right, it's definitely a word that gets thrown around a lot. But in this context, it's really about dedicating even just 5–10 minutes to practices that help quiet the mental chatter and bring you into the present moment.
Could you give me a few examples? What are some specific mindfulness practices that someone could try?
Absolutely. Meditation is a popular one, and there are tons of apps out there like Headspace that can guide you through it. But it doesn't have to be that formal. You could also try journaling, writing down your thoughts and feelings, or even just sitting in a quiet space and focusing on your breath. The key is to find something that helps you clear your mind and start the day with a sense of calm and intention.
And how did Alex, our busy entrepreneur, incorporate mindfulness into his routine? I imagine he wasn't exactly sitting on a meditation cushion for an hour every morning.
Right. He actually started with just 2 minutes of guided meditation using the Headspace app. He said even those 2 minutes made a huge difference in his ability to focus and manage stress throughout the day. Eventually, he worked his way up to 10 minutes. But the key takeaway is that you don't need a lot of time to reap the benefits of mindfulness.
That's really encouraging. Starting small and building consistency seems to be a recurring theme here.
Okay.
So we've prepped the night before, woken up at a consistent time, hydrated, moved our bodies, and taken a few minutes for mindfulness. What's the final step in this morning routine framework?
Step 5 is all about leveraging that focus energy you've cultivated and tackling your most important task first.
So this is about prioritizing, making sure you're dedicating your peak mental energy to the tasks that will have the biggest impact.
Exactly. We often fall into the trap of checking off easy tasks first or getting bogged down in emails and reactive work. But this step encourages you to flip that script. Identify the one task that, if completed, will move the needle the most in your work or personal life and tackle that first thing in the morning.
That's a really powerful shift in perspective. It's about being proactive rather than reactive. Did Alex follow this eat the frog approach, so to speak? What did that look like for him?
He did. He realized that he was most creative and focused in the mornings, but he was wasting that time on low-impact tasks. So he started blocking out the first hour of his workday to focus solely on his most important project. He turned off notifications, closed all unnecessary tabs, and just got to work. He said it was a game changer in terms of his productivity and the progress he was able to make on his goals.
Okay, so we've walked through these 5 steps. We've heard how Alex applied them to his life, and it all sounds great in theory. But what about the science behind all of this? Is there actual research to support the idea that these actions can lead to greater success?
Absolutely. It's not just anecdotal evidence or feel-good advice. There's a growing body of research that supports the benefits of these morning routine practices. For example, a study published in the Journal of Applied Psychology found that people who engaged in even just 5 minutes of morning exercise experienced significant improvements in mood focus and stress management throughout the day.
That's fascinating. It really underscores the idea that even small, consistent actions can have a ripple effect on our overall well-being. What about the mindfulness piece? Is there scientific evidence to support that?
Definitely. Studies have shown that regular mindfulness practices such as meditation can lead to a wide range of benefits, including reduced anxiety and stress, improved sleep quality, and even increased gray matter in the brain.
It's amazing how these practices that seem so simple can actually have such profound effects on our brains and bodies. So we've got the steps, the science, and a real-life example of how this can all come together. The podcast we explored also mentioned some additional tools and resources, right? What are some of those?
Yes, they highlighted a few things that can be really helpful for building consistency and taking your morning routine to the next level.
What did they recommend? Give me the goods.
In addition to the Headspace app, which we already touched on, they recommended an app called Fabulous. It helps you build healthy habits through personalized coaching and motivational challenges. They also suggested a couple of books that dive deeper into the psychology and strategies behind habit formation. The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod and Atomic Habits by James Clear.
Oh, I loved Atomic Habits.
Yeah.
James Clear's approach to breaking down habits into small, manageable steps is so brilliant. What else? Did they mention any other tips or tricks?
They emphasize the importance of planning, specifically dedicating just 5 minutes each evening to plan your morning routine for the next day. They found that people who took even just a few minutes to visualize their ideal morning and jot down their intentions were far more likely to stick to their routine and experience its benefits.
That makes a lot of sense. It's like setting yourself up for success before you even go to sleep. I love the practicality of that. I'm also a big believer in the power of journaling. And I think starting a gratitude journal could be a really impactful addition to a morning routine. It's a great way to shift your focus to the positive and cultivate a sense of appreciation for the good things in your life.
I love that idea. Starting your day with a sense of gratitude can be incredibly powerful. It's like that saying, what you focus on expands. If you start your day by focusing on what you're grateful for, you're more likely to notice and appreciate the good things throughout the day.
So we've covered a lot of ground here. 5 key steps for building a successful morning routine. A real-life example of how it transformed one person's life, the science that backs it all up, and a whole toolbox of resources to help our listener get started. If our listener is ready to ditch the snooze button and create a morning routine that truly sets them up for success, what's the one thing they should take away from this deep dive?
Hmm. That a powerful morning routine isn't about rigid rules or becoming some kind of superhuman. It's about making intentional choices that support your well-being and set the tone for a more focused, productive, and fulfilling day. It's about understanding those core principles we've discussed and then experimenting to find what works best for you.
It's about creating a routine that feels energizing and empowering,
Yeah.
not restrictive or overwhelming.
Exactly. And remember, like any new habit, building a morning routine takes time and effort. There will be days when you fall off track, and that's okay. The key is to approach it with a sense of self-compassion and keep coming back to those core principles that resonate with you.
I think that's such an important point. It's not about perfection, it's about progress.
To leave our listener with a final thought, imagine yourself a few months from now. You've consistently implemented these steps, and you're waking up feeling energized, focused, and ready to take on the day. What does that version of you look like? What goals are you achieving? What impact are you making? Hold that vision in your mind and let it motivate you to keep showing up for yourself each morning.
That's a powerful image to end on. I hope our listeners feeling inspired to take action and create a morning routine that helps them unlock their full potential. We'd love to hear about their journey and what works for them. Feel free to connect with us on social media or leave a comment on the show notes. Until next time, keep diving deep, keep striving for those morning wins.